The Helios research station hung in the darkness of space like a metal tumor attached to the dying star it studied. The station was long and thin, with sections stacked vertically like discs in a tower. Inside those walls, scientists from across the galaxy worked on experiments that most civilizations would never understand. But in Section 7, something far more dangerous waited behind reinforced glass and energy barriers that glowed soft blue in the shadows. The Void Reaper had lived in its containment cell for 3 years. It was a creature of midnight and hunger, with a body that seemed to shift between different states of matter. 6 articulated limbs moved with liquid grace when the creature wanted to move, each one ending in curved claws that could pierce through steel. Along its spine ran spines tipped with venom so toxic that even the strongest alien races handled samples with extreme caution. Its head was smooth and angular, with eyes that glowed faintly golden in dim light. These eyes held intelligence. The Void Reaper was not just a dangerous animal, it was a thinking, planning predator. Dr. Teo had been watching this creature every single day for 3 years. He was a tall man with dark eyes and graying hair, and his job was to understand the Void Reaper without getting killed. He recorded its sleep patterns, its feeding responses, the way it moved through space. He took samples of its blood and studied its brain scans. Every day he learned something new about the creature, and every day he became more aware of just how intelligent and dangerous it truly was. Teo sat in his office watching the live feed from Section 7 on a large screen. The creature was sleeping, coiled in the corner like a dark serpent. It looked almost peaceful when it slept, almost harmless. But Teo had seen what this creature could do. He had watched video footage of what happened on its home world when humans first discovered it. Entire settlements had been destroyed. Hundreds had died. The creature had been captured at great cost, brought to this station so that scientists could study it safely. Nobody knew the truth about the Void Reaper yet. Nobody understood why it was so aggressive, why it killed with such efficiency and cruelty. Teo believed there might be a reason. He believed the creature might be angry about something, or perhaps afraid, but proving that theory seemed impossible. Outside the station, beyond the protective shields that kept the deadly radiation away, the star that Helios Station orbited was dying. It had been dying for millions of years, but now the end was coming faster. The star was entering its final phase, expanding and collapsing in unpredictable cycles. These cycles created solar flares, great explosions of energy that shot out into space. Most of these flares missed the station completely. Some were directed away by the shield systems. But today, at exactly 1447 station time, a solar flare of enormous size erupted from the star's surface. It was the largest flare in 17 years. The energy wave hit the station's shields like a hammer blow. The protective barriers flickered. For just a moment, they failed completely. Alarms started screaming everywhere at once. Red lights began flashing in every corridor. In Section 7, the containment field that held the Void Reaper suddenly went dark. The creature opened its eyes. For a moment, it simply lay there, uncertain. It had been locked in this small space for so long that freedom seemed like a dream. But the creature had survived in the wild once, before humans captured it. Its instincts were sharp and perfect. It felt the walls shake from the energy wave. It felt the field that held it disappear. It understood instantly what this meant. The Void Reaper moved faster than most beings could think. It uncurled from its corner in one fluid motion and launched itself at the transparent wall of its cell. The wall cracked but did not break. It tried again, slamming against the wall with its entire body weight. This time, a section shattered. The creature squeezed through the broken glass, its body bleeding thin streams of dark fluid, and it began to run. The emergency systems detected the breach immediately. Doors throughout Section 7 slammed shut, but the creature was already moving through the corridors. It ran on 4 limbs, using the other 2 to push itself along the walls, climbing with impossible speed. Its golden eyes scanned every passage, every corner. It was looking for escape. It was looking for a way out. Dr. Teo watched in horror as his screen filled with alerts. The containment breach was real. The most dangerous creature on the station was loose. He immediately activated the evacuation protocols. Across the entire station, warnings began to sound. Scientists abandoned their experiments. Workers ran for their assigned shelters. The station's population of 430 souls suddenly had one single priority: survival. Commander Yuki Sora received the alert in the main control room. She was a woman of 50 years with the kind of face that never showed emotion, no matter how serious things became. But today, her hands trembled slightly as she read the data coming across her screens. The Void Reaper was in the ventilation systems. It was moving rapidly through the station. Security estimates placed it anywhere from the science sector to the maintenance areas in the space of minutes. "Get me Huijun," she commanded. "Now!" Huijun arrived at the control room in under 3 minutes. He was the head of security, a broad-shouldered man with scars on his face from combat in his younger years. He looked at the screens and cursed quietly in his native Korean language. "We need to lock it down," Huijun said. "Get everyone to safe zones. Close every bulkhead. I want teams ready to respond." "It's too fast," another officer reported. "It's already bypassed 2 bulkhead sections." Huijun's face hardened. This was the scenario that every security chief feared. A truly intelligent and dangerous creature loose in a contained space with nowhere to run except deeper into the station itself. The team began coordinating response units. They would try to corner the creature, try to drive it toward a section where they could seal it in. But everyone knew the truth. The Void Reaper had never been caught before. It had only been captured as a juvenile on its home world, and even then it had taken an entire military force to do it. The station fell into chaos. Not panic because these were trained scientists and workers, but a controlled chaos driven by fear and urgency. Everyone moved toward shelter. Everyone locked doors. Everyone waited in silence, listening to the sound of their own heartbeats, wondering if the creature would find them. And somewhere in the lower maintenance corridors, an ordinary man pushing a cleaning cart had no idea that his life was about to change forever. Kang Dae had been working at the Helios research station for exactly 3 months and 9 days. He knew this because he counted. Every single day he would wake up, put on his gray janitor suit, and wonder if this was the day he would finally feel like he belonged here. So far, that day had not come. He was from Earth. From a small city in Korea that most people in the galaxy had never heard of. He was an ordinary man with ordinary skills. He knew how to clean. He knew how to fix simple things. He knew how to work hard without complaining. These were valuable skills on a research station, or so the hiring officer had told him when he signed the contract that would take him away from everything he knew for 2 years. The pay was excellent. The opportunity to work in space was something Kang Dae had dreamed about since childhood. But the reality of life on Helios Station was much lonelier than he had imagined. The alien scientists barely noticed him. The human researchers were usually too busy to talk. Even the other workers on the station seemed to exist in groups that he could never quite join. So Kang Dae worked his shifts alone, pushing his cleaning cart through the long corridors, making sure that the station stayed clean and functional. On the day the Void Reaper escaped, Kang Dae was in the lower maintenance section, cleaning the corridors that almost nobody used. These areas were dim and cool, with pipes running along the walls and access panels every few meters. The cleaning down here was not difficult, but it was tedious. He worked with earbuds in his ears, listening to music from home, trying to make the work go faster. He was thinking about lunch, which would be in about 2 hours, when he heard the first alarm. Kang Dae stopped his cart and listened. The alarm was distant, but he could hear it. Something was happening up in the main sections. He removed his earbuds and tried to understand what the alarms meant. They sounded different from the standard system tests. This was something real, something urgent. A recorded voice began speaking through the station's communication system. It said something about emergency protocols and evacuation procedures. But the message was brief and technical, using words that Kang Dae understood but not well enough to grasp the full meaning. He knew the words containment breach and dangerous and seek shelter. But his brain was having trouble putting them together into a complete picture. For a moment, Kang Dae considered going back to his quarters to hide like the message suggested. That seemed like the safe choice, the smart choice. But his cleaning cart was here. His supplies were here. The area he was responsible for was here. Some part of his brain, the part that had been trained to do his job properly, resisted the idea of leaving work unfinished. He told himself he would just finish the current section, and then he would go to the shelter. So Kang Dae continued working. He did not move quickly, but he did not move slowly either. He worked with the calm efficiency of a man doing a task he had performed thousands of times. He moved his cart along the corridor. He wiped down the walls. He emptied the small waste bins. He worked as if nothing unusual was happening. That was why he was still in the maintenance corridor when the Void Reaper came through the ventilation shaft. The creature dropped down through an open panel in the ceiling with a sound like something heavy falling. Kang Dae heard it and looked up. For a moment, he simply stared. His brain could not process what his eyes were seeing. The thing hanging from the ceiling opening was not anything from any animal on Earth. It was not anything he had ever seen before. It was dark and sleek and wrong in a way that made his stomach feel uneasy. The creature's golden eyes fixed on him. It made a sound, a kind of hissing growl that echoed through the metal corridor. It was a sound that carried pure predatory hunger. It was a sound that meant death. Kang Dae should have run. That would have been the logical response. He should have turned and run back down the corridor as fast as his legs could carry him. He should have screamed or called for help. But for some reason, he found himself standing absolutely still, watching the creature as it pulled itself down from the ceiling. As it came into the light, Kang Dae could see that something was wrong with it. One of its limbs was moving stiffly, not like the others. The creature was holding that limb slightly away from its body, and there was something dark on its side, something that looked like blood. The creature was hurt. That detail changed everything in Kang Dae's mind. He had spent his whole life fixing things and helping things. He had been raised to care for living beings. His mother had taught him that all life had value, even the small insects in her garden. Even in a moment of absolute terror, with a deadly alien creature standing before him, Kang Dae's instinct was to recognize pain and want to help. He did something that would later seem impossible to everyone on the station. He spoke to the creature in a calm, quiet voice. "It is okay," he said in simple English. "You are hurt. I can see. You need help." The Void Reaper stared at him. Its golden eyes blinked once. It made another sound, but this time it was different. Still dangerous, still a predator's sound, but somehow less aggressive. The creature took a step toward him, testing, assessing. Kang Dae did not move. He kept his hands visible. He kept his voice soft and gentle, the way he might speak to a frightened dog back home. "You are scared," he said. "I understand. You are scared and hurt. Come, I can help you." The creature moved closer. Its venom dripped from its spine and hissed against the metal floor, leaving small marks in the metal. Its claws extended and retracted nervously. Every instinct told Kang Dae that this creature could kill him in less than a second, but every instinct also told him that the creature was uncertain, that it was not attacking because some part of it understood that this human was not a threat. Kang Dae reached slowly into his cleaning cart. He pulled out a bottle of clean water and a cloth. He poured water onto the cloth and held it out, away from his body, offering it to the creature. The Void Reaper took one more step forward. It lowered its head and sniffed at the wet cloth. It seemed almost confused by the gesture. Then, incredibly, it allowed Kang Day to gently dab at its wound with the cloth. For the next few minutes, nothing else in the galaxy existed except a human janitor and the deadliest creature on the station, locked in a moment of impossible connection. After Kang Day cleaned the creature's wound, something fundamental shifted. The Void Reaper did not leave him. It did not attack. Instead, it followed him through the corridors of the lower maintenance section with the strange loyalty of an animal that had found a protector. This was not how the scientists had predicted the creature would behave. No one had written protocols for this kind of situation, because no one had ever believed it was possible. Kang Day moved slowly through the maintenance areas, keeping his voice calm and steady. He spoke in simple Korean and simple English, not really expecting the creature to understand the words, but knowing that tone mattered more than language. He explained what he was doing. He explained where they were going. He told the creature not to be afraid. The Void Reaper followed silently, its golden eyes never leaving the human. It moved with a strange vulnerability now, slightly favoring its injured limb. Kang Day realized that the creature's injury was more serious than he had first thought. The limb was swollen, and when he got a better look at it in the light of a maintenance panel, he could see that it had been badly cut, probably on sharp metal during the escape. Infection was already setting in. He could tell by the dark discoloration spreading from the wound. A normal person might have thought about contacting the security team or the scientists. A normal person would have wanted to turn the creature over to the authorities and save themselves from the danger. But Kang Day was thinking like a healer now, not like a prisoner or a witness. The creature was in medical distress. It needed help. That was all that mattered. He found a small maintenance room that was rarely used, just a space with some tools and equipment and pipes running across the walls. It was secure enough, he thought. No one would come here during the chaos of the evacuation. It was the perfect place to work. Kang Day gathered what he needed from his cleaning cart and from the maintenance room supplies. He had basic first aid knowledge, learned during a safety course the station had made all workers attend when they arrived. He was not a doctor, but he knew the basics of treating wounds. He worked on the creature's injury with extreme care. He cleaned away the infected tissue as gently as he could. The creature made sounds, painful sounds, but it did not fight him. It seemed to understand that he was trying to help. Kang Day poured antiseptic from the first aid kit over the wound. He wrapped it carefully with clean bandages. His hands shook slightly as he worked, aware of the danger, aware that one wrong move could result in his death. But his hands remained steady enough to do the job correctly. When he finished, he gave the creature water and food from the station's supplies that he found in the maintenance room pantry. The creature ate carefully, almost delicately, watching Kang Day with those intelligent golden eyes the entire time. In those eyes, Kang Day could see something he had not seen before. He could see trust. The hours passed slowly. Kang Day stayed in the maintenance room with the creature, monitoring its condition, making sure the bandages stayed clean, offering water and food when the creature seemed thirsty or hungry. He talked to it constantly, telling it stories from his life on Earth. He told it about his mother and her garden. He told it about the city where he grew up. He told it about why he came to work in space. The creature seemed to listen, even if it could not understand the words. Meanwhile, throughout the station, something strange was being noticed by those who were watching the security systems. Dr. Min Kyung, a xenopsychologist, was reviewing the security footage in the command center. She was looking for any sign of the creature's location so that the security teams could intercept it. But what she found instead was impossible. The security cameras showed the Void Reaper moving through the corridors with a human. The human was moving slowly and carefully, and the creature was following behind, maintaining a respectful distance. More than that, the human was actively protecting the creature. In one sequence, automated defense systems activated, trying to block the corridor with energy barriers. The human had disabled them. In another sequence, security drones appeared in a corridor. The human had guided the creature away, avoiding the confrontation. "This does not make sense," Min-kyung said to herself, watching the footage again and again. The human should be dead. The creature should be killing everyone it encounters. But instead, she brought her findings to Commander Yuki Sora. The commander watched the footage with growing confusion and concern. "The janitor is protecting it," Yuki Sora said, her voice flat. "Yes," Min-kyung replied. "The creature is injured, badly infected. Without proper care, it will become violent and unpredictable. The human seems to understand this, even if he does not have the medical knowledge to fully treat the infection." Yuki Sora considered this information. She was a military commander, trained to think in terms of threats and containment. But she was also a scientist in her own right. She understood that something unique was happening here. A connection was being formed between human and alien predator. This was not supposed to be possible. The Void Reaper was supposed to be incapable of bonding with any other creature. All the research suggested it was a solitary hunter with no capacity for social behavior. "Find them," Yuki Sora commanded. "But do not engage. I want to observe this from a distance. I want to understand what is happening." In the maintenance room, Kang Day continued his vigil over the creature. As the hours turned into almost a full day, he noticed something remarkable. The creature's breathing became more regular. The inflammation around its wound began to decrease. The creature's movements became more graceful, less stiff with pain. Whatever Kang Day was doing, it was working. The Void Reaper seemed to recognize this too. Its behavior toward Kang Day changed subtly but noticeably. It moved closer to him when they rested. It allowed him to touch it more freely. It made soft sounds when he was near, sounds that were almost like purring, if a creature of its nature could purr. The creature was not just surviving with the human, it was beginning to trust him completely. Kang Day understood that something profound had happened. The deadliest creature on the station, an apex predator that had been studied for 3 years without anyone truly understanding its nature, had bonded with him. It was not a bond born of fear or dominance. It was a bond born of care, of gentle treatment, of one living being recognizing that another cared about its survival and well-being. In that small maintenance room, far from the chaos of the station, 2 beings from different worlds began to understand each other in a way that science had never achieved. Commander Yuki Sora made a decision that surprised many of the senior staff members. Instead of immediately capturing the creature and the janitor, she ordered a full investigation into what was happening. She wanted to understand the situation before taking any action that might result in disaster. This decision gave Dr. Min-kyung the time she needed to analyze the data thoroughly. Min-kyung spent hours reviewing security footage and biological readings. She compiled everything she found into a detailed report. What she discovered challenged everything the scientific community believed about the Void Reaper and its nature. The creature's neural patterns were changing. The aggressive markers that usually filled its brain scans were becoming less intense. The creature was becoming calm, not just calm, but something closer to peaceful. "This is extraordinary," Min-kyung told Tayo when she showed him her findings. "Look at these readings. The creature's stress hormones are dropping significantly. Its aggression indicators are fading. It is behaving like a completely different animal." Tayo studied the data with intense focus. As the lead xenobiologist, he understood better than anyone what these readings meant. "The human must have treated its infection," he said slowly. "The creature was driven to violence before because it was in constant pain. A deep infection in its limb would cause psychological distress in a being this intelligent. Once the pain was removed, once it received proper care, the creature's true nature could emerge. Its true nature? Min Kyung asked. Look at the bone structure. Teo pointed at a skeletal scan on the screen. Look at the complexity of the brain. This creature is not naturally a mindless killer. It is as intelligent as any sentient species we have encountered. It was driven to violence by circumstance, by pain, by fear. On its home world, perhaps it lived peacefully. Perhaps something in its environment or its biology made it aggressive. But with proper care, with the psychological reassurance that this human is providing, it is reverting to a healthier mental state. The implications of these findings spread quickly through the station. If the Void Reaper was not inherently evil, then perhaps it could be reasoned with. Perhaps it could be rehabilitated. Perhaps the entire foundation of their understanding of the creature was wrong. Commander Yuki Sora brought Hui Jun and his security team into the decision-making process. Hui Jun was skeptical. His job was to protect the station, and his training taught him to see dangerous creatures as threats that needed to be eliminated or contained. We do not know what this human has done to the creature, Hui Jun argued. Maybe the human is being controlled by the creature. Maybe the creature is manipulating the human's behavior. We cannot trust what we are seeing. That is a possibility, Yuki Sora acknowledged, which is why we are going to approach carefully. But we are not going to attack until we have more information. Tayo believes the creature is genuinely calm. Min Kyung's neural readings support this. If we attack now and we are wrong, we might trigger exactly the kind of violent response we are trying to prevent. Hui Jun accepted the decision, but he was not happy about it. He assembled a team and began planning an approach that would allow them to capture both the creature and the janitor without violence. The team would be ready to use force if necessary, but the primary goal would be containment and observation. Several more hours passed. Kang Dae and the creature remained unaware that they were being monitored. Security teams had located them in the maintenance room, but they kept their distance. Station sensors tracked the creature's vital signs. Cameras watched from hidden angles. The entire time, everyone observed the interaction between human and alien. What they saw continued to astound them. The creature was not just calm, it was content. It rested with its injured limb bandaged, lying in a posture that suggested comfort and trust. When Kang Dae moved, it followed. When Kang Dae spoke, it seemed to listen. When Kang Dae slept briefly, exhausted from his continuous vigil, the creature stood guard, watching the door like a devoted companion. Dr. Min Kyung watched these interactions and felt something shift in her professional understanding. She had spent her entire career studying alien psychology, believing that different species operated on fundamentally different principles. But here was proof that some principles transcended species boundaries: care, compassion, trust. These were universal concepts. The human was communicating with the creature not through shared language, but through universal concepts that both beings could understand. I want to meet him, Min Kyung told Yuki Sora. The janitor. Before we bring in the full security team, I want to attempt communication. Yuki Sora was skeptical, but she granted permission. Min Kyung, accompanied by a single security officer for protection, made her way to the maintenance sector. She navigated the corridors carefully, following the security team's directions to the maintenance room where Kang Dae and the creature were sheltering. She knocked on the door quietly before entering, not wanting to startle either the human or the creature. Kang Dae looked up, startled. He had not expected anyone to find them. The creature hissed slightly, but it did not attack. It simply moved slightly closer to Kang Dae, a protective gesture. My name is Dr. Min Kyung, the scientist said in a calm voice. I am a xenopsychologist. I want to talk to you about what you have done here. Kang Dae felt his heart pounding. He knew that the authorities would eventually find them. He had not expected it to happen so soon. He was afraid that they would take the creature away, that they would try to put it back in its cell, that everything he had accomplished would be erased. "The creature is better now," he said simply. "It was hurt. It was sick. I helped it. It was not a monster. It was just afraid." Min Kyung studied both the human and the creature carefully. Everything she was seeing confirmed her recent analysis. The creature was not demonstrating aggression. It was demonstrating attachment to the human. The human was demonstrating genuine care and compassion for the creature. "You are right," Min Kyung said. "You have done something remarkable here. Something that science could not do. You have shown the true nature of this creature, and I want to help you protect what you have created." She turned to the security officer who had accompanied her. "No one is taking anyone into custody," she said firmly. "Not until we speak with the commander. This situation is far more complex than a simple creature escape. This is a breakthrough in xenology." Kang Dae felt relief wash over him. He did not fully understand what Min Kyung was saying, but her tone was kind. Her intentions seemed good. The creature seemed to sense this, too. It made a soft sound, almost like recognition, and settled back down beside Kang Dae. The next phase of the situation was about to begin. The creatures and the janitor were no longer hiding. They were stepping into the light of scientific scrutiny and political consideration. But now they had an ally who understood the importance of what had happened. The conference room was large and cold, with walls of reinforced metal and windows that looked out into the darkness of space. Kang Dae had never been in such a place before. He felt small and out of place among all the important people who filled the room. Beside him, the Void Reaper sat with remarkable calm. Having been transported through the station in a secure but comfortable transport chamber that Dr. Min Kyung had personally overseen, Commander Yuki Sora sat at the head of the table. Around her were arranged the senior scientists and administrative staff of the Helios Research Station. Dr. Tayo was there, his face showing confusion and concern. Huijun was there too, his expression guarded and wary. At one end of the table sat Dr. Min Kyung, and at the other end sat a dozen other officials and experts who had been brought in to witness and evaluate the situation. "Let us begin with the facts," Yuki Sora said, her voice carrying the authority of long command. "Dr. Tayo, please give us your assessment of the creature's current condition." Tayo stood and activated a holographic display. Medical scans of the creature appeared in the air above the table. "The creature's injury has been treated with remarkable skill," he began, his voice filled with professional respect. "The infection was severe. In another day, perhaps two, the wound would have turned septic and the creature would have experienced systemic infection. This would have caused extreme pain and psychological distress. At that point, the creature would have likely become dangerously aggressive." He paused, looking at Kang Dae. "The human janitor identified the infection and treated it with proper antiseptic and basic bandaging techniques. The treatment was performed correctly. There is genuine medical knowledge here, or perhaps simply genuine intuition about how to care for an injured living being. The creature's neural patterns have changed significantly," Min Kyung added, bringing up her own data. "Prior to the escape, the creature showed consistent, aggressive, and predatory markers in its brain scans. These markers are now substantially reduced. The creature is calmer, its stress hormones are lower, its general neural activity suggests a state of relative contentment." Huijun leaned forward. Could the creature be manipulating the human? Could this be some kind of intelligence operation? "That is highly unlikely," Teo responded. "The creature's biology and neurology do not support such complex deception. This creature operates on instinct and emotion, not calculated manipulation. What we are seeing is genuine behavioral change resulting from proper medical care and psychological reassurance." One of the other officials, a woman named Dr. Su Jin, spoke up. What you are suggesting is that the Void Reaper's aggressive behavior was not inherent to its nature, but rather a result of its circumstances, its injuries, its pain, its fear. Exactly, Teo confirmed. I have been studying this creature for 3 years. I always believed there was more to its behavior than simple predatory instinct, but I lacked the proper context to understand it. This human provided that context. By treating the creature with compassion, by removing the source of its pain and fear, he has revealed the creature's true nature. Which is? Yuki Sora prompted. An intelligent being, Teo said simply. As intelligent as many humanoid species we have encountered, capable of emotion, capable of gratitude, capable of forming bonds. The creature is not a monster. It is a thinking, feeling entity that was being driven to violence by its own suffering. The room fell silent for a moment as everyone processed these implications. Kang Dai sat quietly, his hand resting gently on the creature's neck. The creature made soft sounds, seemingly content with the contact. There is one other factor we must consider, Min Kyung said. The creature has bonded with the human. In xenopsychological terms, this is similar to imprinting, seen in various Earth species when a caregiver provides critical care during a vulnerable period. The creature now sees Kang Dai as its protector, its source of safety and well-being. To separate them would likely cause severe psychological trauma. Hui Jun was still not convinced. What about the threat to the station? This creature is classified as dangerous. We cannot simply allow it to roam free because it bonded with a janitor. We are not proposing to allow it to roam free, Yuki Sora said. What we are proposing is a change to its containment conditions. The original cell was designed for a dangerous predator. We now understand that the creature requires a different environment, a space where it can be safe and secure, but not imprisoned in the way it was before. Dr. Sujin brought up plans for a new habitat. It showed a large space with areas for the creature to move and explore, with places to rest and hide, with environmental conditions optimized for its comfort and well-being. It was less a prison and more a sanctuary. We are also proposing that Kang Dai become the creature's primary caretaker, Min Kyung added. He has already demonstrated the ability to provide medical care and emotional support. He understands the creature on an intuitive level that our scientific training has not provided us with. Kang Dai's eyes widened with shock. I continue to care for the creature? He asked, his English hesitant and uncertain. If you are willing, Yuki Sora said, looking at him directly. You have proven your capability and your compassion. The creature trusts you. It may be that your continued presence is essential to its well-being. Kang Dai looked down at the creature beside him. The golden eyes looked back at him with perfect trust and contentment. He thought about how much had happened in just a few days. He had come to this station feeling alone and disconnected. Now he had found a purpose. He had found something that needed him. I will care for it, he said simply. I am willing. Over the next several hours, the details were finalized. The creature would be given the designation Reaper 7 temporarily until a more appropriate name could be chosen. It would be moved to the new habitat. Kang Dai would be officially reassigned from janitor to creature care specialist with a significant increase in pay and status. Dr. Teo would oversee its medical care. Dr. Min Kyung would continue to study its psychological development, and Hui Jun, though still skeptical, would oversee security protocols to ensure that the creature remained safe within its new space. As the meeting concluded, Teo approached Kang Dai. The older man looked at the human with something like wonder in his eyes. You have done something I could not do, he said quietly. In 3 years of study, I looked at the creature as a subject to be understood. You looked at it as a being that needed help. That is a wisdom that cannot be taught in universities or research institutions. That comes from the heart. Kang Dai nodded, not quite sure how to respond to such praise. He looked at the creature beside him, and he smiled. "It is not special," he said. "It is just what you do when someone needs you. You help, you care. On Earth, we do this for all living things." The statement hung in the air as a simple truth that somehow encompassed everything that humans had always been, even if the galaxy did not yet fully understand it.